In today's episode of Art of Making, how does Anastasia Tamaeva-Nikiforova work with stoving enamel? When I talk to people, I call myself a jeweler, but I'm not a jeweler. I'm an enameler. Meet Anastasia Tamaeva-Nikiforova, who works with a stoving enamel. She has been engaged in this type of art for almost 10 years.
Это редкий достаточно вид.
This is a rather rare type of art, and it's rare even among jewelers because it's quite difficult and specific. To do this, you need special tools and materials. Therefore, it's not so popular, especially in Kazakhstan. We have it, but there are not many craftsmen who can work with stoving enamel. There are very few of them. My specialization is very specific and narrow, but it's very interesting. Acquaintance with the technique of stoving enamel happened thanks to one family who came to Kazakhstan from Georgia. Back then, Anastasia saw beautiful jewelry on her new friend's wife for the first time and was stunned by its amazing style. She decided to master this technique and in 2012 went to Georgia for training. Anastasia was lucky to study in one of the most famous ornament galleries. There she learned the history of this type of art.
Первые образцы работ с горячей эмалью.
The first samples of work with stoving enamel were found in Cyprus before our era, about 3,000 years ago. When I tell my customers that these are very durable things, that you can safely pass on your jewelry to your great-granddaughters, this makes me recall that some items covered with enamel can be preserved for almost a millennia. For hundreds of thousands of years, they continue to maintain their color, their appearance. Of course, some changes may appear, but nevertheless.
Где-то могут появиться, конечно, какие-то изменения, но тем не менее.
There are three types of stoving enamel techniques: pictorial, notched, and cloison. Anastasia focuses mainly on the last two directions.
Техника выемчатой эмали, она самая древняя. Это когда в металле, в углубление закладывается эмаль, и потом происходит...
The technique of the notched enamel is the oldest. This is when enamel is laid in the recess of the metal, and then the firing occurs. At the chemical level, enamel and metal interact, and the coupling occurs at the molecular level under the influence of high temperatures.
Перегородчатая эмаль, она чуть-чуть помоложе, ну, условно чуть-чуть помоложе, потому что...
The technique of cloison enamel is slightly younger. It appeared a little later. It originated approximately in the 4th century on the territory of Byzantium, and from there began its successful path around the world.
В частности, например, в IX веке она...
In particular, in the 9th century it came to Georgia. Around the 15th century it came to China, and around the same time to Japan as well. It is preserved now in Europe, in China, and in Japan, but today it has different areas of use. If, for example, cloison enamel technique in Georgia is called menagerie, in Europe it is called in English, but comes from French, cloison enamel.
Из французского она называется cloison enamel. Cloison — это такие, как ячейки.
Cloison is like cells. If in Europe it's mostly used for decorative art, for example to make watch dials, many luxurious Swiss brands use this technique of cloison enamel, decorating dials with it, and the cost of such watches is estimated at more than 1,000 euros. Of course, there is an expensive mechanism, but in addition, an aesthetic value.
какой-то там эстетической ценности, она исчисляется, конечно, там не 1000 евро. А, например, в Японии и в Китае это больше используется для...
For example, in Japan and China, it's more used to decorate some attributes of the interior. For example, you have seen many times, but probably never paid any attention to large Chinese vases decorated with such a delicate pattern. In fact, if you look at it, this is the same cloisonne enamel. There are huge vases, and there are small ones too. Or, for example, it can be some bowl with the finest pattern made in the technique of cloisonne enamel. Such items are most often made of copper using stoving enamel.
Из меди, но также, да, горячая эмаль.
Anastasia mainly creates her items using silver. Today, she will show us how to make earrings with national ornaments. To do this, she has already prepared blanks. She took the tension off the metal. She cleaned and degreased it, and while the muffle furnace is heating up, she applies enamel.
Сама горячая эмаль сейчас в таком порошкообразном перемолотом состоянии.
The stoving enamel is now in such a powdery ground state, and in order for it to adhere to the surface better, I will add distilled water to it. It should be as clean as possible, because any dust, any speck of dust, any extra inclusion can spoil the appearance, and the enamel will be dirty. Therefore, we need a distilled water and a clean working surface.
Поверхность рабочая и порядок.
For these earrings, Anastasia has chosen 3 colors of enamel.
Сама горячая эмаль.
The stoving enamel itself is also very interesting. Sometimes I get the feeling that I have a relationship with a living person because I have the same enamel. My hands are the same, I work with the same tools, but every time I get a different result.
Разные результаты. В основе горячей эмали лежит кварц.
Stoving enamel is based on quartz. It's very similar in composition to glass with the addition of special pigments. Sometimes metal oxides or natural stones are added to it, and since there are purely natural constituents, sometimes we can see a reaction of natural stones to some processes that take place around it.
На какие-то процессы, которые происходят вокруг.
Anastasia places the earrings in a muffle furnace that was heated to 750 degrees, and in 2 minutes, the new decoration will be ready. This is the process of stoving enamel technique.
Он очень кропотливый, и с точки зрения теоретических знаний.
It's a very painstaking process, and from the point of view of theoretical knowledge, it's also very difficult. Because 9 years have passed since I began to learn to work with stoving enamel, I have done, well, probably thousands of jewelry, but I still think that I'm in the process of learning. Because every time there are some nuances that weren't there before.
То есть большая часть, конечно, да.
Of course, I have most of the skills, I have a solid basis, but I understand that this is the path, this is the way. It's like a metaphor for what life is. Life is your way. It's about where you go, who you meet on your way. And then probably working with enamel is also the way, with its own victories and joys and interesting events.